Hey folks, this is R2R reporting from Delhi, Ohio, and I have a pretty important email I'm going to share with you that really summarizes the weaponization that I'm going through and also may document possible libel against me. And so this was sent. There's going to be primarily three entities involved in this email. Delhi Township government, which is the weaponizer. And all this is, in my opinion, for educational purposes. There's going to be the Oak Hills Local School District, which was notified of my trespass with a letter I think is libel. Then there's going to be Green Township government, which will also receive the letter, same letter that I believe is libel. And so here I'm sending this email to the superintendent of the school district, the director of operations, Bill Murphy, who's head of security, I believe, at the school district. And then I'm sending it to Frank Birkenhauer, the administrator of Green Township. And I'm sending it to those folks because they all received that letter that was full of BS. I'm also copying the Green Township board chairman, the only board member whose email I could find on the website. And I'm copying all members of the Oak Hills Local School District Board. This email is sent respectfully in the interest of truth, in my humble opinion, and the best of my knowledge. I understand roughly on 9/22/2024 to 9/23 that you received an email from Skylor Miller, Delhi Township Administrator, about my, Rich Gage's, site access restriction trespass. Oak Hills Local School District also received a related police report. Both of these are misleading and I think may be libel. I'll point out these sample examples or things you may not know because they weren't included in the communications. This happened about 2 weeks after I brought up questions of corruption alleged by a Delhi employee against trustees. Here's a high-level snip of Skylor's written word talking about the employees that alleged the corruption. This was in the employee that alleged corruption. It's in his personnel file. And this employee that alleged the corruption is actually an inspector for Delhi Township. On the morning of, and this is Skylor Miller talking, putting this in the person's personnel file. On the morning of May 18th, 2023, you engaged a township administrator in a conversation in the administration parking lot. During this discussion, you brought up your frustration that St. Dominic was getting away with violating the zoning resolution, and you said that you would be willing to lose your job, willing to sue, willing to ruin careers, or end elected officials over this. I explained to you that your comments were highly inappropriate and that we could discuss your concerns, but that we would not continue this discussion in the parking lot. I remind you of our prior discussions regarding St. Dominic, in which I directed you to take any concerns you had with them to your supervisor or to me. I want to point out that this employee that alleged this corruption is a former veteran. When he was hired, he did go through a stress test. I understand it's the test is honesty. And I've spoken with this person individually, and I think that what he's stating here, some of these allegations, are worth investigating. Moving on. High level, that employee was punished and went silent on it after losing responsibilities and his job on the line. Two trustees deny any knowledge. I'm not sure why I put that there, so I'm going to get rid of it for now. Two trustees deny any knowledge. Skylor investigated, finding no evidence. So I started my own investigation. So the fact that the two trustees deny any knowledge of it suggests that Skylor's investigation didn't include going and talking to the individuals who their corruption was alleged of. Number two, I'll just point out real quick, and I'm going to go into more detail in another video on this, but I'd also like to point out that this employee is both a citizen, as I understand it, and as an employee, he's over inspecting for zoning resolutions and things like that. And so I would think that he would have some, so that's the person you contact when there's a zoning violation. So I would think that he would be able to contact himself as a citizen to the employee and his various rules to, in essence, complain to himself that he's reporting the violation as a citizen and he's following up on it as an employee. But that ain't how it works, I guess. Moving on. The police report, so I'm listing here reasons that things they might not know about and reasons why I think that that letter's full of BS as well. The police report you have has since been updated to list me as a victim, as I called the PD that day and was also threatened that day. So what happened is Delhi sent to the local school district a police report that was also bogus. I had to go in the next day and push to get it updated so I was listed as a victim. Once listed as a victim, and then they added some additional narrative, I believe, as well, because they completely blanketed over any investigation about my complaint. Most of it. I don't want to say all of it. And so when they updated it to include me as a victim, they neglected to not send the updated police report to the local school district that started showing the innocence of my actions that day and how I was the victim. Completely left out. I was listed as like I'm the criminal when, again, no crime committed that day. The police investigation was biased from the start. See the vids. The chief and 2 officers that day, during and after the event, being the trespass, and the next day, stated on video, I committed no crime. I'd also note that there's no record. I put in public records request. There's no public record that the administration could give me of any law or rule or Delhi Township rule that I've broken that day. The chief told me no one reported a disturbance. So I was trespassed for a disturbance, but no one reported a disturbance, he tells me. It's going to be on a video in the future, not the next video. Next video I'm letting out is going to be the actual trespass when the chief communicates to me that I'm being trespassed. It'll be a good video. The better video are going to be the ones after that, when I talk with the chief one-on-one about what he did and why I think he was a sellout. During the was a sellout with regard and context of this situation. I don't think Jeff's always a sellout. In fact, I think Jeff is a pretty darn good human being. I think he's probably a great guy. I think as a police chief, he's fallen short here. I think he's a good guy doing some really bad things. And I think it probably chews him up a little bit, honestly. These are just my thoughts. Let me move on. During the trespass, Chief Jeff said I was trespassed for puking. That was the only articulated disturbance given at time of trespass. That's a video you're going to probably see next. Later that day, blocking doors and walkways was mentioned. I offered, I think it was $500 reward to Cops for Kids for evidence proving this claim. Why? Because it's BS. It's bull-sliggy. I know it's bull-sliggy. I looked at the video evidence. I was there that day as well. And this is just another lie. And if you have the evidence, Chief Jeff, if you have the evidence, Skylor Miller, please, for the sake of the Kids for Cops, please, I've already made a separate donation. So I'm good for my word. I'm good for my word. $500, you show me the proof. In fact, let me just mention what is proven is that I'm actually holding the door open for people. Let me move on. The chief apologized to me after the trespass. I think it's primarily for the way he treated me, which was completely inappropriate. I think it showed that he was acting out of emotion based on commands he was being given by his boss, not based on legal reasons or anything like that. That's just my opinion. And that video is going to be coming out as well. Just following orders, he told me. Just following orders. That's what he said to me. One Delhi officer on site states that that day, before the trespass happens, one Delhi officer on site states, and he states it with conviction, that a trespass is, and I quote, not going to happen. One employee stated that is a gray area that they discussed in a meeting. The previous administrator, who I thought was a great man, he's probably a pretty darn good administrator as well. Definitely, if you ain't seen the video, go check it out. The previous administrator thanked me for similar actions and training was provided. So these staff have been trained on how to react to this type of situation. The trustees even validated that that training was provided to these folks. Some of the acts listed in the letter were pre-approved by Delhi PD Lieutenant, including at least chalking on the sidewalk and looking into windows of publicly owned buildings. I've got the proof of this from a publicly accessible place. Video recording pre-approved by the chief. I think by the lieutenant as well. Other acts were pre-approved by Skylor and John Schill and the lieutenant, like looking into windows. Yet it was listed in my trespass. The letter has many lies or falsehoods as supported by my video evidence and Delhi's video evidence, body cam's cell phone, the athletic club video taken on cell phone that caught me threatening, then it evolved into harassing. Then when shown, it was stopped short as the PD was viewing a nothing burger. And you look at that woman and you tell me, did she look embarrassed realizing her earlier false claims? Now, a part of me believes that when she said these things, maybe, just maybe, and I'd have to think about it more, maybe she thought that was true at the time. I don't know. But certainly when you go to the video, it's not true. And why would I think she might have thought that was true at the time? Wait for the video to come out. It's an illness, folks. It's an illness. That's what I think. I'm not a doctor. Moving on. On site that day, the officer said he would send me a link so I could submit my video evidence. That never happened. He said it, but it never happened. I asked the next day to submit my evidence, but Chief Jeff already closed the case. I talked to Lieutenant Rich about this. Lieutenant Rich said he would have reopened it and allowed my video evidence, but Chief Jeff called the shots. This is an ethics violation, in my opinion, at the least. Not being able to submit video evidence as a victim of an alleged threat. I never cussed at anyone that day and said only one cuss word. The two witness testimonies of Delhi employees on body cam support this as well as the statement I made to Chief, as does keep in mind, folks, I've been working on this for hours. It's currently 1:33 a.m. As does the statement I made to Chief Jeff. And for all you haters out there, I make nothing off this. Nothing. Evidence shows I was cussed at and flipped off. Rich was cussed at and flipped off, not the other way around. I previously heard from Skylor Miller, which he now denies. I previously heard him say this to me, which he now denies. This is my opinion. This is what I know I heard. With all due respect, the First Amendment is not a priority in Delhi. And on video, Chief Jeff said he believes me when I said that. This ain't in the email, but I said that when I went into an interrogation room, not knowing what I went in there for. I was told I went in there just to shoot the shit with the chief. Shoot the Shiite with the chief and the lieutenant. I get in there and they start asking me a bunch of questions. And what I did, my whole mindset, you look at that video, that's online. My whole mindset is just be honest. You can tell them what I know the advice, never talk to police. But I thought to myself, just be honest, you did absolutely nothing wrong. That's a video posted on my website. Says something like the chief interrogates me while we all laugh. And you're going to see in that video, I try to be 1,000% honest, and I think I was. It's all from the hip. None of that was rehearsed. I didn't know what questions I was going to be asked. I didn't know what I was going in for. And I make this statement. I later talk in the township trustee meeting. And it was on the fly as well. I stayed at the beginning, this on the fly after I took a bike ride. It was that same day. And I said on the fly, I said, this is what he told me. And so I'm not backing off that. With all due respect, the First Amendment is not a priority in Delhi. That's what he told me. At the time, we were talking about YouTube potential censorship if I were to cuss in a trustee meeting and YouTube were to censor that. That's what the conversation was about. This is how he started out his response to it. And on video, Chief Jeff said he believes me. This is important because it's the First Amendment that got squashed that day, as well as the 14th. I encourage you, these folks, to call Chief Jeff and Lieutenant Rich, who I think will assure you that I'm an honest person. I've also taken the personality quiz, whatever that is. I'm kind of the guy that will ramble on a little bit longer, kind of, speaks from the hip. One of the characteristics of that personality type is an honest person. Just looked it up 2 weeks ago, and it's just more evidence. I'm just being honest. Chief Jeff admits not having the specifics of my actions that day, but said he delivered the trespass simply because he was following orders of Skylor. Later, in December 2024, Skylor Miller provided December 2024, Skylor Miller provided false information to the chief, triggering me losing about 6.5 minutes of my freedom. I was let go, no crime. Reference that video. The end of the video should give you chills. And that's where the apartment building woman is talking about, well, in essence, it points out how Delhi government has come between and destroyed what was previously a very wonderful relationship between a private entity and a private citizen. If that doesn't chill you, then I'd like to hear where you're coming from. If that doesn't chill you, I mean, just in a personal interest, reach out to me. I'll buy you dinner. I'll buy you lunch. Let's spend an hour and just explain to me how that, with American values, how that does not chill you. It's crazy, folks. That video also shows Delhi telling me for 50 minutes that someone will be out shortly to take your records request, only to never take it. I believe that's illegal. I waited 50 minutes for someone to come out and take my records request. I called in 3 times, got checkups along the way. Someone finally comes out. They don't bring pen and paper, and they can't take my request, and they weren't willing to go. I don't think, well, they didn't take my request, bottom line. 50 minutes to get. While Delhi PD releases videos with kids in it, I try hard to blur out kids in my vids. And yes, the building cam released to me records the sidewalk leading to the preschool. That's where one of the complaints was that I was video recording. So it's really not about recording the kids if you're releasing video with kids on them unredacted. Come on now. Skylor refused to look at any of my video evidence. So this wasn't only video evidence defending myself. This was video evidence also related to a complaint I made about one of his employees. A complaint which I asked for updates on, and as far as I know, no investigation was even done. On their own body vid cameras, she's admitting to saying things like talking to me, you need to get laid. I believe she admits to cussing me out. There's video evidence on their own building cam that she's flipping me off. You can see on the building cam that she aggresses toward me. I'm not even in the video on that video, but you can see she goes from where she was to aggress toward me. The trustees refused to look at my video evidence until I notified them of a possible ethics violation. Then they viewed at least the link I sent, which was the detained on false info video. I will be putting out videos of what actually happened on 9/19/24, including my demeanor, prior interactions. Guys, we're going to break down this trespass letter in a future video. It's full of bullshit, what I call sliggy ugga bull, also known as bull sliggy. That's what this letter is, and I'm going to point it out. I'm going to show video evidence. I'm going to show a video where I go up there to complain about flags all over in a graveyard that they maintain, laying over, flag violations, disrespecting our veterans, disrespecting our country. For a while, their employee mowed around it and just ignored falling over flags. I had to go up there and be persistent. What they do, how they react to me reporting that, they gave me a phone number to do their job to follow up on it. I tried to follow up on it. Then what happened? Then then persistence is listed in the, so I ended up having to call 2 numbers. I spent an hour or so that day trying to track down who's responsible for those flags. I did go back to them. It was listed in my trespass letter as I'm too persistent. I did go back to them and let them know somebody needs to take care of these flags. I will not stand by as a citizen and watch my government I'm forced to pay money to respect and uphold our rights, stomp on them with an articulation of fallen over flags. I will not tolerate that. They will. They don't give a crap. They say they give a crap, and then they're pawn that work off on me. And then not follow up on it until I really become persistent about it. And then they finally took care of it. Let me just read on. I'm sorry, folks. I'm very passionate about this. And so I'm going to start posting these videos, which I think are going to prove the restriction letter is full of bull sliggy, and false information. Listen. Either the stuff he's putting in that letter he knew was false, or the stuff he put in that letter, he had a reasonable access to video cams, not mine, their own video cams, Delhi's own body cams, their own building cams. Those cams alone prove some of that letter is full of BS. But then you add the videos that I was offering that nobody wanted to look at, and you're going to see more evidence that it's BS. Now, I'm letting these folks know because I don't know yet. I may go to court. I may go to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. I may go to the Ohio Ethics Commission. Honestly, right now, I'm leaning toward these two. I haven't had any luck finding a lawyer. These I can do myself online. They're free. One or both of them has a 6-month limitation. So I got a little bit more time, another 2.5 months to decide. That's just to fill out the forms. And so I'm letting these folks know, this is serious stuff, y'all. I'm getting screwed here. My reputation, I don't want to say these entities. Green Township has not treated me any differently, in my opinion. And I was actually going into this, I was putting together a video to compliment Green Township. But the Oak Hills Local School District has definitely been treating me differently. I'm going to release a video that shows how that's happening. I'm like giving one expectation when I'm just a citizen, and then all of a sudden everything changes when they find out I'm Rich Gages. That video is coming out, folks. And here's the thing, is I believe that treatment that BS treatment I'm being given by the school district, I believe it's being triggered in large part by these communications from Skylor Miller combined with an illness. I'm going to get into that illness in a future video. For now, I'm just organizing documentation, going to the public and you, and realize some of the above have a 6-month limit. Please do not spread false information about me, because they've already started doing that. The local school, let me take a step back. The local school district, I believe, has already started doing that. Green Township, I do not think that's the case. I do not think that they've started spreading this false information about me. So I just want to be clear about that. One video I will post will be of the school district location on Delhi from 9/19, where the trespass supposedly happened, that was included in the letter. In the letter, it's a lot about how they feel. Let me just hop over for my audience here, just to give you a taste for what's in this letter, if I can track it down real quick. It's not what I really... Let me cover that in a future video. Let me just get through this email. So in the email, so I'm mentioning this because it's a school district. They have a school district, I believe, rents out some space up at that location that Delhi owns. And here it is. The only two things listed in context are, the only two things listed in the trespass letter referencing the school district were, one, I was looking in a window, which was pre-approved by a Delhi PD lieutenant. His name's Lieutenant Rich. And two, the school district complained that I was filming through windows. These are the two things that frightened them, where they had to call the police and then got used in a trespass letter. And I think in a way that made me look like a pervert. I am not a pervert. So filming through the windows was the other thing listed, and I'm breaking that down. I'm letting them know that filming, it's a constitutional right called freedom of press. It's in the First Amendment. That activity of filming was pre-approved. There's never a problem previously. I'm going to guesstimate that was maybe roughly, this a wild guesstimate, my 7th time video recording at that location. There were several times I was up there that nobody even really, I don't think, may have known I was up there, or I didn't interact with anybody up there, just myself. D, I was at a distance you cannot really see in those windows. So these folks don't claim it this day, but later on, Bill Murphy, head of security, I think, he tells me that one of the things I did was look in the window of a classroom. I don't think that's true, number one. Number two, if it is true, maybe they're talking about the playground outside that I recorded when there were no kids there. I think the only thing I quote-unquote recorded, which it didn't capture because you don't go through the window, was what I would understand would be the lobby. Video evidence clearly shows no ill intent. Wait till I release the video and you hear what I'm saying at the time. At the time, I videoed the window and I say, hey, you know, whatever, I think that's a daycare or something with Oak Hill School District. And then somebody pops up in the window. I see a shadow and I say, oh, I think somebody's waving me in or something. This is from memory. Wait for the video. It's going to show I'm Mr. Nice Guy, not that I'm the things they're claiming. I was never warned or told any of this is a no-no. Never. Never no warnings. Never no heads up. Keep in mind, Delhi's philosophy, both in the administration and the PD, is education over enforcement. With me, on this day, they skipped the education. They went straight to enforcement. And I believe they broke the law in doing so, and they told a bunch of false information in doing so. And now it's starting to ruin my reputation. There is no law or rule restricting this. No law, no rule. Here's some video evidence for your consideration. Body cams that day with my comments. There's more coming. These two are already posted. If you haven't seen them, a lot of folks that saw my last video where I was detained for false information given by Skylor Miller to the police chief, you need to watch these videos. This is from when I was trespassed that day. It's the first 2 body cams. It starts exposing this government for what it is. It starts exposing the illness that, as not being a doctor, as just a layman, that I'm claiming these folks most likely have. And I think that illness is spreading in Oak Hill's local school district. And I hope this email will prevent it from spreading farther. Let me go on. I'm getting near the end, folks. I appreciate it if you stayed through this long. In the fight against wokeness, against good people committing bad mistakes, those are the PD staff there, I think, and against the war on our rights, I want to thank you for considering this other side, because they only got it one-sided, and it seemed like the Oak Hills local school district started taking action based on that one-sided information. Oh, don't do that to me. Get out of there. Sincerely, Rich Gages, taxpayer, homeowner, Oak Hills local school district grad, activist, and victim of Delhi's weaponized government. And I'm just going to make this proclamation right now to the public. If anybody knows a lawyer in Ohio, if anybody knows, I'm looking for a lawyer that hopefully could litigate and or specializes in libel. I'm looking for a lawyer that specializes in constitutional rights, First Amendment rights, 14th Amendment rights. I'm looking for a lawyer that's willing to take on a government township lawyer. I think some of this might have to go to appeal. I don't think it all needs to go to appeal. I think the detainment, if I was illegally detained, that may be an easy case. And ideally, I'd like to get a lawyer that it would be willing to go on the record on my YouTube channel, as you would deem appropriate, maybe after the case or whatever, to make a statement about, what happened. And if you're willing to do updates along the way. I do have some money. I did set aside a budget for legal fees. And I think some of this is going to be more of a federal-based lawsuit. Federal. These are Constitution. These are Title 18 violations. And I think some of them are going to be local as well. Feel free to contact me. My email is in my YouTube channel. It's basically youtube.com/ at R2R-R2R. You can go into the top section, click on it, about the channel or whatever. You're going to see my email in there. I'm looking for a lawyer that has some skills. I'd also be willing, if there's a lawyer out there that's busy or whatever but has the skills, I'd even be willing to consider doing a lot of the work myself. I'd be happy to do the depositions. If I can't find a lawyer, that's what I'm considering anyway, is doing it all myself. If there's not a lawyer out there, if you're a paralegal that has some skills in this area and you're willing to help me put the documents together, I'd be happy to do the litigation, to do the depositions. Who is that person? Lane Myers. I do watch your videos. I think you're a beast. If I remember correctly, you're undefeated except one case, which you have on appeal. I appreciate your advice. I forget the name of the website, but basically, and it's an option I'm considering, $170 a month is a website to a university, I believe, that has an AI interface that I understand helps put together the documents, counter arguments to their arguments and things like that. I am looking into that as well. But my preference would be to get the expert to do the lawyering on my behalf. And I can tell you this probably isn't going to be my only case. I think there's going to be more than one entity here that needs to be sued and put in place. And there's going to be more in the future. So I'm looking for a lawyer that, isn't going to be a one-off or a two-off or whatever. I'm looking for a lawyer that I'll probably reuse time and time and time again. I think once I get a hold of a couple of the right people in the community, I've been in contact with them in the past. I've just lost all that contact information. Once I track that down and I get a hold of 5 people and they make mention of me on their channel, as one of them has done in the past 4 years ago, my channel will explode. I do believe that. And so I think I will have a lot of work for you if I can find a lawyer that has integrity to take on this establishment. That's it for today, folks. I really do appreciate those watching, those with the good wishes and all that. I'm gonna make one last note on here. No, I'm gonna make one last note on here. Me reading this email to my social media following will be posted will likely be posted before you read this. Okay, so I would send this on video, but I'm thinking I might modify it. I think I'll go ahead and post this video on YouTube and won't do the Facebook. Yeah, I don't want to talk about my other social media, but we'll get this out to my YouTube folks, and then me reading this email to my social media has already been posted to at least YouTube. So I'm going to do that posting now, and I'm going to come back and insert the link to that video here so that, it shows the integrity that, I'm not lying to them. Nowhere in this email do I believe I'm lying. I believe this email is, I don't want to say it's 100% truthful because, I'm human. There may be a mistake in here or something. I may have interpreted something some way that was misinterpreted or something, and just me admitting those things, I think is a sign of my honesty. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We're going to hop back over here, stop the video. And if you like this content, I appreciate it if you like, subscribe, share. I especially appreciate that, and this is no offense to anyone, but I'm really not in this for the money. I may at some point monetize, but I really want the folks that live locally. I like everyone. I like the folks out wherever, down in Florida or whatever, that you're informed that the problems you're running into are national issues. But I'm trying to make local change right now. And I really want the folks that are local, that are part of the school district, part of Green Township, part of Delhi Township, live locally in Ohio or something, or do a lot of business here. I'm reaching out to you folks more than anyone else. I want you to subscribe and share and provide feedback and get involved. Get involved. These are things that one individual cannot change alone. Now, I suspect in Green Township, I hope in Green Township, and I suspect we have the integrity where we don't need that citizen thing. That's just what I've been exposed to. We don't need that citizen effort. Not from what I've been exposed to. Now, I'm sure there's problems there, and at some point I may run into them or whatever. But I'm exposing Delhi right now, right here, and I'm going to be exposing the Oak Hills Local School District. Stopping the recording.